Whoa, look at this, guys. This is an adult male Parson's chameleon, the largest chameleon in Madagascar, probably in the world. And I'm gonna look into how these guys are living out here in the wilds of Madagascar so that we better know how to care for them in our homes. I'm Dave Kaufman, and these are my reptile adventures. Rainbow Mealworms is not only a proud sponsor of this channel, they are the premier source for all your reptile food needs. They grow all of their quality insects in-house, and I use them exclusively for all my insect-eating reptiles. So place your order today at rainbowmealworms.net or click the link in the description below. All right, everybody, look. There is half a Parson's chameleon. Way high up in this tree, so concealed. And there's the other half of them. This is the first Parson's chameleon that we've seen in the wild. So at this point, you don't really get a good idea of how big that chameleon is. But we're gonna gently get him down and we're gonna take a better look at him. All right, so our new friend here is gonna take a stick, and the Parson's chameleon is going to step onto the stick, and then he's just gonna bring it out of the tree. It's not like we're knocking it out of the tree or anything like that. So as you can see, he's grabbing the stick right now, and then once he's on that stick, we just simply bring the stick down and take a better look at this lizard. Look at that, and that's the way you get a giant lizard out of a tree. Look at that beauty. All right, guys, look at this. We got him out of that tree. This is the largest chameleon on the island of Madagascar and one of the biggest chameleons in the world. And for those who love chameleons, this is like the holy grail of chameleons for people to keep. Now, I'm having them sit on this stick because these guys have talons and they will dig into my arm. And, you know, obviously I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna let them stay on this stick, but this just gives you an idea of how big these chameleons are. And he's going right off that stick, so he is going to come up on my arm. Come on, buddy. But look at this. This is just a gentle giant. Look at how big this guy is. And you can see that he's using that tail as a prehensile tail. He's hanging on to that stick for leverage. But I'm gonna really pay for this in a little bit because he's gonna chomp into my arm with those really unique hands and feet that chameleons have. So this is a yellow-lipped Parson's chameleon, and you can tell that it's a yellow-lipped Parson's chameleon by those yellow lips. But I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that no Parson's chameleons, why doesn't he have orange eyes like some Parson's chameleons? We've all seen those pictures of Parson's chameleons with those orange eyes, and the reason for that is that's actually locality coloration. So in this part of Madagascar, they're not going to have those orange eyes. They're going to have these uniform green eyes that blend into its body. But he's not really digging into me that much, so I'm going to continue to hold him. Guys, I'm sure for all of you chameleon people out there, me included, that you can understand why this is a dream come true to be here in Madagascar and be holding my very first Parson's chameleon. This is absolutely amazing. All right, guys, so right up here, they have found a juvenile Parson's chameleon, and oh, look at that dude. He's actually eating right now. All right, so this is Bill Strand from the Chameleon Academy.
Hello there.
One of the world's foremost authorities on chameleons. So we were talking about what Parson's chameleons are eating out here. A lot of people believe that they are eating just nothing but insects.
Insects, yes.
But that's not true. So what are Parson's chameleons eating out here?
Parson's chameleons, like just about every chameleon, are opportunistic, and they will eat anything that moves and that will fit in their mouth. And so the Parson's chameleons are going to be eating, definitely the majority are going to be insects, but they will also be eating reptiles, mammals, birds, any of the smaller species. If it moves, it's fair game. They will get a taste of, day geckos, mice, even hummingbirds, small birds. Basically, they get a wide variety. And this is important for those of us who are in captive husbandry because we are wondering how to give them the proper nutrition. Parson's chameleons have been doing just fine on an all-insect diet, but some keepers and breeders will give them a supplementation of say a pinking mouse or maybe a feeder lizard. And so they'll try to give them that little boost in protein. Now, what's important about a vertebrate is vertebrates have preformed vitamin A in their organs, and invertebrates do not have that. And so those of us in the chameleon community are constantly wondering where chameleons get their nutrition, and preformed vitamin A is an important consideration. Do they get it from carotenoids? Do they get it from preformed vitamin A that is found in their food items? And so we like to see what chameleons eat in the wild. It's important to us to know.
So this little guy had just got finished with a meal, and this is a juvenile Parson's chameleon. This little guy is going to grow up to be the largest chameleon species on the island of Madagascar. And this is actually a male, and we know that because when they're juveniles, there is sexual dimorphism, where males will actually be drab and brown color like this, and females will actually be green. So there is sexual dimorphism in the juveniles of Parson's chameleons. But as you can see, Parson's chameleons are not born with those appendages on its nose. Those will come later in life as this chameleon grows. Guys, I just spotted a female Parson's chameleon right here on this tree. Look at this. Where are you going, sweetheart? Let's see if she'll just step right on my hand and come off that stick there. There we go. Just like a parrot, look at that. There's a lot of sexual dimorphism that occurs with Parson's chameleons, as well as a lot of other chameleon species. The females are much more green, and if you notice, something's missing on that nose, and that's that rostral process. Females simply do not have the rostral process that males have, and that's one of the varying differences between males and females. And she's uniform green, but she is, like the male, a huge chameleon. And she's a little bit more cantankerous than that male was. Yes, we'll be done in just a second. Just look here, look at the camera. Look at the camera, say hi to everybody, stay right along. Anyway, guys, chameleons stress out really easily, so I really don't want to handle her any longer than I need to, but I just wanted to show just how big the females actually get and the differences between male and female Parson's chameleons. So guys, as I'm taking this female back, I want to talk a little bit about the habitats that these beauties live in, or sadly, what's left of their habitats. So this is the habitat of the Parson's chameleon. This is all second growth. We've got big traveler's palms over here. We've got a lot of invasive eucalyptus, invasive pine, and look at this, there's only a few trees left on this landscape. And then you turn around behind me and all of it's gone here. Just a few trees left. There are only tiny little pockets of habitat left for Parson's chameleons and every other chameleon species on this island, let alone all the other wildlife on this island. What I am witnessing here is actually devastating. But look at this whole hillside here. Just a few sparse trees for these chameleons and other animals to live in. And look at this. Invasive pineapples, invasive plants over here, and these pineapples are just growing all in this hillside. This is not sustainable. So when it comes to humidity and temperature, that is the proper humidity and temperature for Parson's chameleons. Right now, this is the wet season. The humidity is going to be a little bit higher than it naturally is in the dry season, but taking an ambient temperature and a humidity reading right now is going to be a snapshot into the proper humidity and ambient temperature for Parson's chameleons. So because Parson's chameleons are in the tree, I'm going to hold up my gauge here, and I'm just going to let it cook for a little bit here. And look at that. 67.8% relative humidity at, well, about 29 degrees Celsius, which is 83.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, this gives a snapshot of what the ambient temperature and the humidity that is here in the habitat of the Parson's chameleon. Now, Parson's chameleons, like most other chameleons, are diurnal. They are active during the daytime. But being diurnal, and being that it's midday right now, this should be the high temperatures in your enclosures. They should have a hot spot of about 80 and a relative humidity in the 70s. And again, this is the wet season, this is the summer season. So I encourage all of you to further research the seasonal temperatures that your Parson's chameleon needs in the dry season and in the wet season. Bill, let's talk a little bit about Parson's chameleons and their care. So let's just start with caging. What kind of cage does somebody need for the biggest chameleon in Madagascar?
Well, it will be no surprise, but you need a big cage.
Naturally.
Now, Parson's chameleons really aren't that difficult to take care of as far as their needs, except everything needs to be bigger. And if you can't give them a bigger cage, it's just not worth it to have one just to have one. You want to have one so you can enjoy the majesty of this. And even a, the bare minimum would be a 4 foot wide by 2 foot deep by 4 foot tall. But, when I keep my Parsons, I like to keep them in walk-in enclosures that are at least 7 to 8 feet wide, 7 feet tall, and 4 feet deep. That is the kind of enclosure that you're going to get the true majesty of a Parson's chameleon. The one reason why I wouldn't say they're for beginners is because the amount of expense that goes into it. But the information as to how to take care of them is out there. If you truly want a Parson's chameleon and no other chameleon will do, then it is best that you go to a Parson's chameleon, because it's not fair to the veiled chameleon for it to be a practice animal.
I agree.
It's just too many people get enamored with the size of the Parson's chameleon, and they cut corners, and they just want a showpiece, where really our job is to create a large environment of which they will thrive. It's not to have something to show off. Breeding them is actually not that hard. The biggest challenge is in the incubation, and there are a number of very good Parson's chameleon breeders that are working on figuring out the incubation. We've had it go 24 months with 2 diapauses, and I believe they've got it down to 18 months. I'll have to check on that.
That is a long incubation.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can imagine raising up a whole clutch of these things, and each one of them requires a whole lot of space.
Now, I just clocked it at 80 degrees Fahrenheit out here, ambient temperature. This guy is active, he's out hunting. We found him, basically out hunting in the trees. Would you say that 80 would be a hot spot, 70 would be a cool spot?
Yeah, I'd say low 70s.
Low 70s.
Is a good ambient, and then 80 is a 80, 82.
As a hot spot.
Low 80s is good basking, and they may not bask. When we talked about basking spot, the whole reason for basking is that it raises their body temperature to where they can function.
Right.
How much you have to raise their body temperature depends on what your ambient temperatures are. And so if your cage and your house is running on the warm side, you may not need a basking spot at all.
All right, Bill, you are such a wealth of information and knowledge when it comes to all chameleons. It is a pleasure to be on this expedition with you. Again, I will put your links for your YouTube channel in the description below. So guys, we have left the south central part of Madagascar. We have arrived here in the rainforests of eastern Madagascar. So we have to get through this market here because the chameleons are going to be in the woods over there, but this is kind of cool. I mean, people selling iguana food here, and it's going to stop raining, right, today, right?
Yeah, let's hope.
You arranged that? Yeah, good.
Let's see.
Oh, look at this. Look at what we do to find Parson's chameleons. It's so terrible. It's so hard.
It's normal because we are in the rainforest.
That's right, that's right. Who knew that there would be so much rain in the rainforest? All right, guys, so a giant male orange-eyed Parson's chameleon was seen behind this house. Up in this tree, we're gonna see if he's there. And there he is, up in this tree. And this is the tree that, he lives in?
Tree of life, Dave.
The tree of life.
Oh, there's another one.
There's another one?
Juvenile on a stick.
Oh, hey. All right, so we're gonna attempt to get him to step onto the stick so that we can get him out of this tree.
There we go.
Oh yeah. You're doing a good job, Mike. Now, we are in the backyard of somebody's house here, and these guys are living in the trees just right in this little neighborhood that we're in right now. But the thing is that if you see a big male like this, chances are a female is not too far away, and there's also the possibility of seeing juveniles out here. These chameleons will use the same habitats and have the same habits, so when you see one like this, chances are there's others around here, and hopefully we get to see a female. But man, is this a big, beautiful, orange-eyed Parson's chameleon. So beautiful, even that rooster loves it. And what did I say? Here is the female found in a tree just about 20 feet away from that male. And you can see the sexual dimorphism in these Parson's chameleons. The female does not have the rostral processes, and it doesn't have that coloration that the male has. The reason why the male has those rostral processes and those kinds of colors is to attract this girl. The bigger those rostral processes, the more colors that he displays, the more that she finds him attractive and is gonna want to mate with him. But it is starting to downpour here. Our time is limited, so we're not going to spend that much time with this female, but I just wanted to show you guys that even the females are big, impressive, and certainly have that wow factor. So this is a juvenile orange-eyed Parson's chameleon. Take a look at that pattern that juveniles have. And generally speaking, where you find one Parson's chameleon, you'll find other Parson's chameleons, adults and juveniles, living in the same area, taking advantage of the same benefits that this area has to offer them. There's plenty of food here, plenty of shelter here, and the people here in Madagascar really don't disturb these chameleons, so they live in close proximity to human habitations. Can you imagine living in a place like this, looking out your window and seeing a giant Parson's chameleon in a tree? So we have arrived on the eastern coast of Madagascar, right on the Indian Ocean. And it's in this forest that we can possibly, hopefully, see another color variant, another regional color variant of the Parson's chameleon. It's in this forest that we have a pretty good chance of seeing an orange-eyed Parson's chameleon. In my opinion, they are the most beautiful of all the regional color variants of Parson's chameleons. It's around here somewhere, and I want to find it. And if you're wondering about proper footwear when you're going through the Malagasy jungles like this, I find that no footwear is the proper footwear. It's really not. But this is actually rather soothing, looking for chameleons and feeling the earth beneath my feet. Okay, that's, ouch, ooh, ow, ow, that was a root. Maybe it's not such a good idea, but that's enough hippy-dippy crap. Let's go find this chameleon. And look at that, here he is. Hi, buddy. Oh, I guess these guys were already here to find him. Hey, where are you going? Come here, I want to take a look at you. This is actually the orange-eyed Parson's chameleon. Further inland where we found those yellow giants, we at first thought that those were the orange-eyed chameleons. We were wrong. This is the orange-eyed Parson's chameleon, and you can now tell the difference between the yellow giants and the orange-eyed Parsons. Look at that turquoise aquamarine background color and those bright orange eyes. There is no denying that this is an orange-eyed Parson's chameleon. This is a maybe sub-adult going on to adult male. They do get bigger than this, but look at that rostral process. Man, is that amazingly cool. And of course, those bright orange eyes. Out of all the Parson's chameleon variants, this is my favorite, just because how big, beautiful, colorful they are, those tiger stripes, that turquoise body, and those really amazing eyes. You are one gorgeous chameleon. He's like, shut up, baby, I know it. So this is an orange-eyed Parson's female. So, oh, hey, don't bite my solar meter. So let's see what the UV is right where this girl is spending her time on the tree. And look at that, 0.2 on the Ferguson zone. Exactly where this beautiful female orange-eyed Parson's chameleon is hanging out. But keep in mind that just because that's the UV readings where that female Parson's chameleon happens to be hanging out, it's not really a very accurate guide for the UV that you should be offering your Parson's chameleons at home. And so to demonstrate that, I'll take a UV reading in an open area in this forest where the sun is penetrating all the way through the canopy, all the way down to the surface. So here is a nice clearing, and look at how intense that UV is here. That is 8.2 on the Ferguson zone. That is a really high UV reading. So what that's telling us is that, like we have different climate zones within our enclosures for Parson's chameleons, we also need to have those climate zones that pertain to UV light. We need to offer Parson's chameleons and all chameleons a varying degree of UV light, and then they can decide how much UV they need to absorb. So if you have higher UV on one side of the cage, lower on the other, your Parson's chameleon will be able to regulate how much UV it chooses to absorb based on those climate zones that we're offering them within their enclosures. But as we've seen throughout Madagascar, there are different color variants of the Parson's chameleon, and we have been lucky enough to see 3 color variants throughout our expedition here in Madagascar. But man, did I save the best for last. This is certainly the most beautiful variant of Parson's chameleons in my opinion. So anyway guys, as always with these in the wild videos, leave a comment below with a tip or technique on how you guys are keeping Parson's chameleons so that others can learn from you as well. And until the next reptile adventure from here in Madagascar, love the planet, feed your reptile obsession, and rattle on.